like what the entire core is to understand that. So sir, here you can see that we have like port mapped the entire core. So like I'll tell you, the outer block can be considered as core. Then the this inner block, it's the core.debug. So like we made a block around all the modules because like it was connecting almost all the modules, and it was getting like it would have got like hosh posh in between. So this is the core_debug. And then I'll just zoom and show you all the modules and all the connections. Yeah. So as you can see, this is the fetch where the fetching is taking place. Then the iCache, the instruction cache, decode to register file, like all the modules have been instantiated, the port mapped, and all the connections are made. So basically this activity we did, it was to ensure that we understand the data flow. Okay, so like we tried understanding the data flow, but then like we were making some mistakes. Like I'll tell, like for example, in fetch, I'll give an example. So for example, in fetch, we have this I_out, right? So in the program, we didn't know that fetch1 to iCache is a structure. So we considered I_out as a single bit. So like we were therefore getting some difficulty getting the data flow. But then now we got what error we were making, and now what are the structure, the data types that are included in the structure and all. So like now our task for next week goes like we are understanding the data flow, and like we will divide our work amongst ourselves. Like some of them are have been told to work on MicroPython, like to get familiar to MicroPython, as we are gonna like use it in future for integrating the peripherals. And some of us are working on understanding the data path. We also thought of like generating some VCD files by running the core program in order to get the data flow. So like the task for next week goes like this, like to like get familiar to MicroPython as well as understand the data flow. And this is what we have done in this week. So this is the port mapping that we that we made. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Sir, any suggestions?
Mehul, what happened?
Sir, like wasn't I audible? Like I explained.
Oh, now it's audible. Yeah, now it's audible. Go ahead.
Okay, sir. Like, can you tell me like till where did you hear? Or, like, should I start from the beginning, very beginning?
Yeah, it's okay. Just continue that.
No, sir. I was asking whether like for till where did you hear, like, so, or should I start from the very beginning?
Team, what about you all? Did you hear him everything?
Till the complete data flow, like you talked about complete block diagrams, these models we have, arrived at.
Yeah.
Till that point we could hear. After that we couldn't.
Yeah, that was the end, ma'am. Like explain to you.
Okay, fine. Yes. So Ganeshan sir, we would like to hear from you and Arjun sir. Any suggestions or any comments on this?
Yeah, it's good. Arjun, you have any comments?
Nothing in specific. I actually I've joined late, to be frank, but I could understand the intent from where Mehul was trying to explain. But quickly, a few questions that I have. So, what are all the peripherals that you would like to integrate to this microwatt core at the first place?
So DDR, PCIe, and Ethernet.
Okay, where do you want to consider these peripherals? DDR, PCI, Ethernet? Yes, I think that is what even I was advising the other day over call, right? So, did you actually check how to? I mean, what is first of all, what is the compatibility of the peripherals? So the bus compliance of the processor core microwatt is Wishbone, correct?
Yes, sir.
And when it comes to PCIe, DDR3, Ethernet, you are considering them from latex.
Yes, sir, from the Lytix.
Okay, have you checked the peripheral bus compliance, whether it is Wishbone?
Actually, sir, we haven't checked, like we didn't go to the peripherals yet because like we thought that understanding the processor first was more important, like before going to the peripherals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like this week we just spent on understanding the like the microwatt processor, and now like for the next week the task we're taking up is like getting familiar to MicroPython and also like understanding the data path of the processor.
Right. Makes sense. So the point is, so long as you have an idea of the bus compliance architectures of the peripherals that you wanted to connect, things become easy for you. And since you also have faculty members who come from rich VLSI, SIC, SOC kind of a background, they will definitely help you out actually in guiding you through wherever you are stuck. All right. So,
So also like we can do this thing, like we can like dedicate a particular some members from our group like to already start working on the Wishbone, like the compliance, the
Wishbone is
peripherals
okay.
work on.
Wishbone is okay, but my perspective of bringing in this aspect here is, Jyoti madam, any idea basically what is the kind of I mean, at what level are the students studying the computer architecture organization, microprocessor, microcontroller, and also do they have a subject called SOC, system on chip, in their academics, something like that? Can you please help me understand these three perspectives?
SOC as such is not there. Rest of the things are there.
Computer architecture organization, advanced computer architecture organization, and
No, not advanced computer architecture, just computer architecture.
all right. So I am guessing that they must have got an idea of what is a memory map, what is an address map, how do you integrate a processor with a peripheral. So those things they have got an idea, is what I'm assuming, based on the theoretical knowledge they've gained. Is my understanding correct?
Yes.
All right, that's good enough. So if that is the case, I would suggest you guys to probably focus more on the peripherals to be integrated, because microwatt and its bus compliance architecture, it's all proven. There's nothing much to do there, right? So it's all about utilizing the cores and I mean the processor cores and integrating them with the required peripherals. Right, so DDR3, PCIe, Ethernet, where are we going to collect the peripherals from? What will be the source of the peripherals? And what is the bus compliance architecture of the peripherals? If it is by default, it should be Wishbone, because the bus compliance architecture of microwatt is Wishbone. So if there is a master interface coming out from the Wishbone, that will be connected to the slave interface of the respective peripheral. If it is not there, then how do we actually come up with one such component? Do we have to create a wrapper, or do we have to write a bridge? For example, if the peripheral is noticed to have the compliance of some AXI AHB, so should we also write an AHB to Wishbone or AXI to Wishbone bridge? And does it require some wrapper to be built again on top of it? These things should be explored, where the actual volume of the work will be a part of. All right. So once it is done, that is step one. That is the first. That is the utmost important thing that should be done. Next thing is, Coming back to the microwatt again. So the peripherals are identified, and you have an idea of what peripherals to be mapped, right? So once you get the details of the peripherals, you will also have the memory map of each and every. See, by default, every RTL will have some memory, and it will be identified with a memory map. What are they? Each and every peripheral will be identified by something called as a base address. Base address, okay? So the base address is again further segregated into multiple offsets. All right? OFF SCT offset. So just to repeat, every device will be identified with a base address, and there will be multiple offsets within a base address. So the base plus offset becomes an absolute address that should be provided as an input to your processor core. But for you to do that, it's not that straightforward, because your processor, let us assume a 32-bit addressing here, right? So for simplicity, I'm considering 32-bit. I'm not going for 64-bit. So 32-bit meaning how many bits would you require to address 32 bits? At least a representation is what I'm talking about. The hex equivalent representation. Consider 0 cross 8 zeros, 8 bits. So each bit representing one nibble. 8 fours are 32, right? So now that is the convention for the base address, and for offsets, 0 cross 4 zeros, each one byte. Okay, 0 cross 4 zeros, each 4 bits. Let's start the. Let us assume that the starting location of the base address is 0 cross 8 zeros, and the convention is 0 cross 8 zeros with 0 cross 8 bits, right? Each bit indicating one nibble. 8 fours 32, and for base for offset it is 0 cross 4 bits, each bit representing 1 byte. Which becomes 4 8s are 32. That's how it is. And now assume that your processor has got a memory map of 32-bit, like I said, 0 cross 0 0 0 0, all zeros, right? Till 0 cross F all Fs, 8 Fs. But your peripheral will have a different base address, correct? Which probably starts from 0 cross. Sesikiran is there in the call. Yesterday you tried to generate one, you showed me one memory map, right? For SRAM. And
Yes,
what was the address? It started from 0 cross 0 0 0 4 triple zeros, right?
1000, sir.
1000 is one thing. There was another address for UART or some other peripheral, which was 0 cross 0 0 4 000 again, right? So something like that. So your memory map will not be an exact bit-to-bit mapping. There will never be a bit-to-bit mapping, right? From your processor to peripheral. All right. What will be the problem? Your address decoding will fail, right, in between. So you need an address decoding mechanism. And there is also a situation where your peripheral, whenever it wanted to access, since there is a bus architecture, right? So for example, DDR, PCI, Ethernet, all three are connected to your processor, right? So there could be a situation where DDR, PCI, Ethernet, all trying to gain access, okay, requesting for some access of microwatt. So they will place their addresses on the bus wishbone. So what is the basis on which the prioritization happens and which will be served first? All right. So by default, it's always one out of many, correct? It can't be all at a time, because no two requests get granted at the same time, which is called as arbitration. That mechanism will be within your bus, right? Otherwise, it will result in deadlock, correct? So in order to avoid this, you also need to make sure, first of all, that one out of all the three should be selected, which is data selection, correct? One of the address, which is so one out of many, which is what mechanism is this? Multiplexing. So arbitration, address decoding, multiplexing. All right. As I said, arbitration, multiplexing, address decoding are all right. Are the important activities in which your bus, wishbone bus. At this instance, it is wishbone. It can be anything else, right? So what your bus will be taking care of. since the one-to-one mapping is not there, so you need to identify what is the way in which you can bring the mapping of a peripheral to your processor core. How is that happening? That doesn't happen manually. People think you will port map it. Okay. The processor's wishbone out signals are coming just like what Mehul has just shown. So there are wishbone signals coming out. And if the peripheral component that I wanted to connect, let it be Ethernet, PCI, DDR, if let's say if assuming that it is also having a wishbone interface, so the wishbone signals which are coming out from that peripheral will be connected to microwatt. Very simple. That's what you think. No, but that's not how it generally happens. It's not that straightforward. You need to bring, there should be a mechanism to bring visibility of the memory map of all these peripherals to your processor core. Let me explain you why. See, your processor core has got memory map of 0 to all Fs, correct? So that is the total range. So if you put a, the range wise definition, right? There is a square braces and there is a circular braces. Consider circular braces including the limits, inclusive of the limits. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, comma, all Fs. So that's the inclusive limit, address range of your processor core, right? So, but that should be having the visibility of 3 different peripherals. You just spoke about DDR, PCIe, Ethernet. One is, assume one is having the address range from 0, 0, 0 cross 4, 0, 0, 0, and the other one is 0, 1, all zeros, and the third one some address within this range. Okay, so the port mapping that you do, signal to signal port mapping that you do, will only be a manual procedure, but how and who, okay, how and who will signify or specify. So out of 0 to F range, okay, which address map is for what, is for which peripheral, who will define? You assume that the peripheral connectivity port mapping alone will do it. No, it will not happen like that. So there should be some intelligence, there should be some mechanism to define the processor core, to explain the processor core that, you know what, this is the peripheral map which is mapped to this region of your overall range, in between, somewhere in between 0 to F. For DDR3, for PCIe, this is the starting, this is the ending. For PCIe, DDR3, Ethernet, this is the range. Hey, Ceci, why don't you quickly project the screen and show the yesterday's screenshot that you were showing to me, the microwatt memory map generation. Whatever I'm trying to explain, I can pictorially show it to them. Yes, it is very important in the current context in time. If you can please do it, it's possible. Can you please?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Jyoti, Mehul and team from EIT, I hope you are following what I'm saying. Are we in sync? Or no, I'm not making sense.
Yes, sir, yes, definitely in sync.
Yes, sir.
You can always say, I've not understood anything. I can repeat, not a problem. Yeah. So can you see the screen now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah. Can you see that there are some instances at which so for example, there is something called as info SOC capital RAM and followed by capital ROM ROM, added origin 0 cross, all zeros, size, mode. Okay, I'll talk about mode and things later. Okay, so can you see origin? So basically at 0000 location. Okay, so this particular screenshot does not capture the microwatt processor core's overall range, but at what location, what is starting till where, it is kind of explaining you, giving you a picture of it, right? So guys, now let me show you a simple calculation. Okay, this calculation is very interesting and important to understand. Just concentrate. There is some math which will be done now. I request everyone to please concentrate for a few minutes. Okay. Now let's see, from 000 location, there is one ROM which is added. All right, and where the size is, Okay, you see the origin, I mean, which means the starting location is 0 cross all zeros. That is the starting location of your microwatt memory map, to which this small to this which this ROM is a memory map. Okay, now let's see how many locations is this going to occupy. So you see the size 0 cross 000 4 zeros. Team from VIT, can somebody quickly calculate what is the decimal equivalent of this value? 0 cross 0001.
16.
Sorry?
16.
No, it is not 16.
Equal. Okay. Just a second.
The decimal equivalent.
I think he's saying 16 bits.
16 bits.
Hmm.
No, it is not 16 bits, right? 0 cross 0001 4 zeros. How much it is?
Okay, it's hex, right? Okay.
It's a hex code.
6553.
It's a hex
sorry.
code. I'm asking you, what is the decimal equivalent of this value?
65,536.
36.
Right. Can you
Yeah.
can you quickly do a division by 8? So those many bits it is. You getting? The size, the binary,
Yes, sir.
the decimal equivalent of the hex code of the size is giving you the number of bits. Please divide it by bytes. Divide it by 8, you will get number of bytes. What is the figure when you divide it
8192.
by 8?
8192.
Those many 8192 is how much? 8K, correct na?
Yes.
1024 is 1K,
Yes, sir.
4096 is 4K, 8192 is how much? 8K, right?
Yes. 8K.
Divided by 1024. Divided by 1024. 8192 divided by 1024. You'll get 8. Am I right? Have you got 8?
Yes.
sir.
Yes, sir.
So 8K. All right. How much it is?
8K.
8K of size. Now you must be wondering, what is it that I'm trying to explain? No, Ceci, leave this screen aside. Put this, do not close this. Can you please open some notepad or some paint, and can you draw one structure for me? I'm trying to seek some help actually. Can you just open one paint probably?
Yes, sir.
Just open a paint. Oh, paint sheet. Guys, please focus. This is really important. This is something which I am trying to explain from the practical experience. Nobody, it will not be available in any textbooks. Okay. So just here, draw Ceci, what you will have to draw here is just draw one table, one table which will have multiple columns, but only single row. Okay. Now you can randomly draw. You don't require shapes and all. Just use the pen itself and like that. Yes. Correct. Draw it that way. Yes, like that. No, not that. No, I said single this thing. Yes. Yeah, fill it till the end. Okay, leave it. Now call the first one as 0 cross 0. First one as 0 cross 0. Okay, no problem. Just write 0. The last one, just put dot in between put all dot. Last one, you can mention it as F. All F. 8 Fs. 8 Fs. Okay, that's it. That's enough. So we just calculated, guys. Right? That from 0 onwards. So the ROM, which is memory map. Okay, the ROM, which is memory map. Okay, is starting from 0th location of your processor course memory map occupies 32 I'm sorry 8K locations. Okay, now quickly leave this let this page be there. Parallelly, can you open a calculator for me, please? The normal calculator on the system. While you are sharing the screen, you must be able to open the calculator on the screen, right? Just open it. Now, each location is how many bits? Each location.
32.
Sorry? Yeah, yes. I heard you. You said 32, but I just wanted to hear it from the VIT team. Are you in sync, guys? Hope you're following.
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes.
So each location, as I said, is 32 bits. I considered 32 now. So for 32 bits. And what was the decimal equivalent of 0 cross 000140? What value you got?
65536.
Can you quickly, if you don't mind, guys? Otherwise, no problem. Let us perform a reverse engineering again. 8K is what we got, right? So just do this 8192 into 8. Just to do 8192 into 8. So 8192 is 8K. 65536. Am I right? This is the value that you got.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes,
All
sir.
of you from VIT team, is the calculation correct? 65536. Dr. Jyoti, am I correct? Is this the value that you got when you calculated the
Yes, yes.
decimal equal?
Yes.
Okay. So these many bits, correct? These many bits. Each location, how many bits?
32 bits.
32 bits. Divide this by 32. 65536 divided by 32. How many? 2048. 2048 is 2K locations.
Yeah.
Correct now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
2048 is 2K locations, man. So from 0 down to 2047, till that value, you will have what? 8K of data. So from 0 to 2. Okay, now I want you guys to tell me what is the hex representation, hex equivalent of 2048. In 0 cross, all 8 zeros is there, right? Can somebody quickly tell me what is the hex equivalent of 2048? What is the hex
800.
equivalent? Sorry?
800, sir. 800.
800.
So 0 cross 0, 0, 0, 0, 4, I mean 5 zeros, 800. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So coming back to the diagram here, from 0 in the paint, so see in the paint 0, the table, the memory that you see. So you see, I have not asked him to segregate this into bits and rows and columns. Assume each location is having 32 bits. Okay, just in the interest of time, I have not asked him to draw bits also. So first location is 0th location till 2047th location, somewhere in between. Just mark 2047 somewhere in between. Just to mark 2047. 2047. So from 0th location to 2047, show me the transcript once again. Show me the transcript once again. What is it? It is the ROM. It is the ROM, correct? Am I right, guys?
Right, sir.
Yes, sir.
All
Yes,
of you, are you in sync? Have you understood this math?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, on a similar lines, I'll probably keep quiet and I expect you guys to do the talking now. Leave two statements and then come to the next statement. Then you see line, I don't have the line number. RAM, SRAM. The origin started at 0 cross 0, 1, all zeros. So from that location, all right, The size is 0 cross 0004 Guys, now I want you guys to tell me, okay, what is the size and how many locations is this going to occupy and from where?
Yeah, okay, sir.
What is the binary decimal equivalent of this 0 cross 0004 all zeros? What is the value? How many bits? So whatever you see, whatever you see on the screen, Sesikiran tried to generate a memory map using the microwatt itself. Okay, you will also experience the similar kind of a thing when you do it. Yeah, what is the decimal equivalent? How much did you get of this hex?
262144.
Those many bits. Keep that value aside. Keep that value aside. Divide it by 8. Divided by 8.
Yeah, 32768.
Divided by 1024.
Yeah, okay, so 32K.
Where is it? Very good. By 1024, 32K. So 32K, right? Now let us calculate 32K kilobytes. It is not bits, guys. K
Yeah,
capital
bytes.
B. All right. Now keep that value aside. Now come back to the actual calculation. The first one, the binary equivalent. What was the value you got? 225 something you said. What is it?
262144.
Divide now divide it by 32. Divide that by 32.
8192.
8192. 8192 is how much? 8K. Correct, na?
8K.
Very good, very good. So 8192 location starting from where? Not from 0.
01.
Can
Yes,
somebody
time
tell
0.
me what is the value of 0, 1, 6 zeros? What is the decimal equivalent of it? What is the decimal equivalent of it?
167777216.
How much it is?
16777
1677216.
16777 right? Divided by 32. Each location 32, na?
Yes, sir.
What is it?
5524288.
Divided by 1024.
512K.
512K. Correct, na? 512K kilobytes. Not bytes. 512K locations. Correct, na?
Yeah.
Come back to the memory map. Come back to the memory map. So from 512K somewhere in between, not 0, from even after 2047, that will be after 2047 somewhere in between 512K location plus 512K plus
32K.
8K. How much it is? 520K. So from 512K to 520K, what is the peripheral which is mapped? That is SRAM.
Sir, but the size came out to be 32K, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, 32. I'm really sorry. Yeah, 512 plus 32. How much it is? 544.
Yeah.
Correct. Now 544K. I'm sorry. I'm assuming it is 8. Yeah, I was still in the earlier calculation. Sorry. Yeah. 32K. I'm sorry. Yeah. So from 512K location till 544K location, the peripheral which is mapped is SRAM. Correct?
Yes.
How many of you have not understood? You can tell me I have not understood.
Dr. Jyoti, can you please follow up? I'm just trying to explain some important math as part of this memory mapping.
Yes, you don't worry. Like I will explain them in detail with the help of the proper presentation.
Madam, are you clear? Are you clear? Have I made sense? At least you
Yeah.
are clear because
Like
you
this
will be
was
able to.
this was like a part of our microcontroller interfacing and microprocessor interfacing during engineering.
That is why I was asking you guys to thoroughly go through microprocessors, microcontroller, interfacing between microprocessor, microcontroller, computer architecture organization. This is why I'm asking. So now you guys must have understood, right? Likewise, whatever peripherals that you try to map to your processor, they at respect to address mapping, memory mapping will happen, and that will not happen directly by just doing the port mapping. Port mapping in the sense in the Verilog code, that signal coming out connecting to this signal coming from in. That's not how. That is manually a procedure to establish connectivity. Your port mapping will only do a connectivity, establish connectivity, but it will not establish the address map. All right, port mapping is different. Port name itself is a port mapping, but it doesn't do address mapping. Okay, who will do it? Now the question comes: how will this be done? Who will be doing this? Generally, this is done by something called as an SDK, software development kit. That is a combination of tools, a tool chain, basically. Something called as a compiler, linker, loader, scheduler, all that comes along with microwatt. So Ganeshan and team will help. You will have to constantly be in touch with Ganeshan and team and understand like this. Okay, if I have to map. So see, there are two ways in which you can connect. This is another important step. Something which directly connects to the processor. So if you see the transcript, Ceci, please open that. If you see the transcript, you can see there is some ROM, SRAM, down there is some timer, UART, and I also saw wishbone. On first two sentences, you say wishbone. So these are all connected directly to the processor core, correct? But the peripherals you wanted to connect, DDR3, PCIe, Ethernet, they will be connecting to the processor core through wishbone. All right. So wishbone will act as a bridge, intermediary between the peripheral and the processor, correct? Then how will you do it? So you need an SDK, software development kit, which will take care of this, okay, memory map generation and make your peripheral visible to the processor core. Meaning, whatever transaction that you generate from the processor core will hit the respective memory space of the peripherals. That will only be done if two things are done. What are they? Proper port mapping. Number two, proper address and memory mapping. You understood, guys? Have I made sense? All of you?
Yes, so I have a doubt.
Uh, Yes, sir. Please.
Okay, so like we talked about memory mapping, right? Like each peripheral we need to memory map. So like how much memory to map? Like does every peripheral has its own defined memory, or like how do we have to do that?
नहीं समझा नहीं मैं क्वेश्चन क्या पूछा आपने What was your question? Come again.
Sir, I mean, so every peripheral needs a memory map, right? So like does the memory map, the size of the memory and all depend on the peripheral? Like
Okay. So the default memory map is always is part of the protocol definition. I mean the IP. I mean the peripheral definition. It has got microprocessors, microcontrollers. I'm sorry. Microprocessor will have by default some memory map here. Whatever microcontrollers you wanted to map, they will have the definition, their own definition of their sizes. For example, we just saw that, right? So SRAM, ROM, it had how much of size of 8K? And the other one, SRAM had 32K. Likewise, they will define it.
like so, sir, basically you want to say it depends on the design, like the specifications.
Yeah, definitely. That is why I ask you, first question I ask you guys, where are you collecting the peripherals from? Are you doing it from Litex? Yes. So if you go to
okay.
LiteX portal, when you try to look at the specifications of DDR3, DDR3 Ethernet PCIe, you will get to know what is the memory that these peripherals have got and where they start and where they end. That information will be there.
So sir, like this can also be a like factor while integrating any peripheral with any processor, right? Depending on the
This is the factor. This is
Okay.
the de facto, in fact.
Yes, sir, like got it.
This is no, the answer for this question is implied based on the explanation I gave, right?
Yes, sir.
It is obvious, it is implied. That is the deciding factor. So that is why sometimes if the memory map is not generated properly, sometimes what happens is you get something called as a slave error and out of address range. All these things
Okay.
happen because it is not reachable. That peripheral is not reachable and port mapping is not proper, address mapping is not done. Okay, I will discuss about the errors, not reachable things later. It's too early to bombard you guys with too many things. We are discussing about address map now. I'm talking about those things. Have you understood or not? Have I answered your questions, Mehul?
Yes, sir, understood.
Does that answer? Okay. Dr. Jyoti, you have any questions or anybody else has any questions? Is it clear today?
No, as you mentioned that from LiteX platform, we'll be able to know the memory requirement of each IO, then we can perform the memory mapping.
Correct. The memory requirements. So this also raises another aspect here, right? I'm just waiting for somebody to ask this question, but nobody did. Anyways, let me raise that point. So people do something called as architectural exploration for building an SoC. And people talk about multi-core, multi-processor, and things like that. Now you must have understood why and what is the need of multi-core and multi-processor system on chips. Yes? No? Why? If it is yes,
Include
my
more and more
question to you guys is why?
peripherals. So to integrate more and more peripherals. Yes.
Yeah, so there could be a possibility that one of the processor core, right? One single, if it is a single core, you have 0 to F, but you have like 24 peripherals which are part of your SoC. Only it is only going to accommodate 1 or 2, but out of it the address is crossing. What will you do? Go for other core. Correct? Even that is not helpful. Go for multi-processor.
Okay.
Core is different processors. Now you must have understood why these people are coming with octa-core, dual-core. People get fascinated, na? Yeah, I purchased a phone. I purchased a laptop. Hey, tell me what is the specification? The other person asks you. Hey, I purchased a quad-core, yeah. Oh, really? But what is this? I purchased something called a 16-core. Then what is the speciality of this? So this is the ground reality of that. All right. So how does 16 core help? What software engineers say, because you are all from hardware background, okay? But what software engineers say is, hey, I have a job which has got 16 threads. So thread is a path of executing a process, okay? Okay, in your simple terms, functions here, there is a big job. A big job is always constituting of multiple functions, correct? So each and every, for example, there are 16 functions to execute the complete job, okay? Which is taking 16 processor cycles, correct? So you wanted to optimize this. I wanted to get this job faster. So what I'll first do is, initially first I'll run this on a single CPU, single processor, single core. Then you will see it is taking 16 processor cycles because it is sequential, correct? Then you will do what? You will use a quad core. 4 instead of 1, you have quad core. Now what happens? All 16 by 4, correct? So 4 4s are correct. 4 4s are 16. So each core will cater 4 instructions, 4 functions at the same time. So instead of 16 processor cycles, it is done in it is done in 4 processor cycles. So how much of speed that you have got based on the scalability? The scalability of the cores is increased to 4 times, and the speed acceleration is achieved to 4x. So that is why your in processors, this is a thumb rule. Remember this. Scalability is always proportional to the speed obtained. Very simple. Understand? Latency or the acceleration achieved is always proportional to the speed and the scale. Is proportional to the scalability. Okay. So likewise, then you did a hex core. Hex. What will happen? So 16 functions at a time. So you have achieved 16x, correct, of speed. So see, one function per one core. This is how software engineers think. Okay, software engineers think this is the meaning of quad core, multi-core, the advantage, significance of having more than one core, more than one processor, and things like that. But in reality, in a hardware perspective, this is what it is. Now, whatever I am discussing, okay, this is what you guys have to answer. Let's say if you are appearing for an interview, okay, so what is the significance? Hey, people talk about quad core, more than one core, quad core, multi-processor, multi-core systems. What is the significance of it as a VLSI, as a hardware engineer? What is the significance of it? Generally, people ask this question during interviews. So you should be able to explain, depending on the number of peripherals. So each and every peripheral will be executed by one function, one C routine. That C routine will have multiple functions, correct? So that way, that is where the processor, the software engineer's answer will come into the picture. But here, the perspective is this. Okay, is it clear? I think I discussed a lot of perspectives, which are like real time, all right?
Yeah, that's
Yes,
great, Arjun. That's why I waited for you to join here. Thank you very much for this. It's a wonderful discussion we had, real discussion, not just one way presentation also. Good. So, ma'am and the students actually, please, go through this again, and then see how in the next meeting, we can integrate some of the components,
Yes.
and also, like, I am going to bring some international people also to do a presentation if possible, but we'll see how this can be done. But in the meantime, please go ahead and start working on this. It's a great effort. And anything else we need to talk about in this hardware session, because we have 2 sessions in the same meeting hours. Madam,
Right. Thanks, sir.
this is done, right?
Yes, it is done. Thank you so
Okay.
much, Pajay, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Arjun and Venkatesh and Sasi and all the
Yeah.
hardware team. Good effort, and move forward. And now we are going to move to the deep learning and AI session. Please, Arjun, you don't need to be here. If you are interested, you're welcome.
No,
So-
I have another call. I'll
Yeah,
drop off. You guys
sure.
can continue.
Yeah.
So unless you guys have any questions, I'll drop off. Dr. Jyoti and team from VIT. Are you all clear? I guess the best part is this session is recorded. So all the math that I made you guys to calculate is recorded. So you can probably refer back to this presentation whenever you are probably stuck with something or things like that. So I hope today's session was kind of useful to all.
Yes.
yeah, definitely.
Definitely. This kind of interactive things always, I welcome actually. Anyway, thank you very much, Arjun. Thank you.
Okay, take care, guys. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, Ganesh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh,
Thank you.